The planet didn't have a name, at least not one humans had agreed on. To the expedition logs, it was PX-147b, a barren sphere orbiting a dying red sun on the edge of the Perseus arm. But to Dr. Eleanor Voss, stepping down onto its cracked, colorless surface felt like trespassing in a mausoleum older than memory itself. Wind carried no sound here. The dust fell in slow, reluctant spirals, as if the planet itself resented being disturbed. Her helmet lights swept across ruined spires rising from the horizon, towers of black crystal half buried in ash. Their angles seemed almost alive, bending subtly when not watched directly. "Base, this is Voss," she said through the calm. "We're at the coordinates. Structures intact, mostly. Radiation levels are stable." Static filled the silence before a man's calm voice broke through. "Copy that, Ellie. Proceed with ground scan. Try not to touch anything that glows this time." She smiled despite herself. Commander David Harlan, always the skeptic. "No promises," she replied. Behind her, two figures descended from the shuttle ramp: Marcus Reed, the team's engineer, and Dr. Rena Alvarez, xenolinguist. Their boots sank an inch into the brittle soil. "Looks like another one of them," Marcus muttered. "Same architecture, same mineral composition. That makes 5 worlds with the same damn ruins." Rena adjusted her scanner, watching glyphs appear on her screen. "And all of them left the same message," she said softly. "Every dead race, one warning." Eleanor looked at her, voice low. "Earth only pretends to rest." The words hung in the comms like a curse. They entered through a narrow archway leading into the main chamber. The interior walls pulsed faintly, not with light, but with memory. Holographic fractures flickered, showing scenes of cities collapsing under skies of burning ice. Beings not unlike humans, taller, slender, with 4 eyes, fled across bridges of glass as something vast and unseen tore their horizon apart. Eleanor's breath caught. They recorded their extinction. "Same pattern as the Nitary ruins on Calyx 3, Rena murmured. "And the Vesh structures on Draylen 4. Different species. Same ending. Same final phrase." Marcus crouched by a cracked console, brushing away dust. "We're seeing parallel evolution across star systems light-years apart." "You know what that means?" "Someone, or something, taught them the same script." Eleanor knelt beside him, touching the crystalline surface. "Or warned them." A low hum rippled through the floor. All three froze. The chamber lights brightened by a fraction, as if recognizing new life. "Energy spike," Marcus said, eyes widening. "It's powering up." Before they could retreat, the wall in front of them split open, revealing a suspended sphere of translucent amber. Inside it, a faint humanoid silhouette shimmered, too indistinct to define. Eleanor stepped closer. "Is that?" Her headset crackled violently. A burst of sound, not mechanical, not entirely organic, poured into her ears. It wasn't a language. It was a plea. Then, through the distortion, came words in perfect English. "We slept beneath your world. We watched you dream. Don't wake it." Rena staggered back, trembling. Did it just speak English?" "Impossible," Marcus whispered. "No translator." But the sphere dimmed, and from the center erupted a projection, the image of Earth, spinning blue and calm. Then, without warning, it cracked open. From within the planet's core, a massive black form emerged, stretching tendrils across the solar system. Every world it touched turned silent. Then darkness. When Eleanor regained her bearings, the chamber had gone still again. Her heart hammered in her chest. "Base, this is Voss," she said, breath shaky. "We have visual data and vocal transmission. Sending now." Static. No response. The comms light flickered red. "Signal's dead," Marcus muttered. "Something's blocking transmission." "Let's pack up," and Rena started, but froze mid-sentence. Her scanner beeped wildly. "Eleanor, there's organic residue here." "Fresh." Eleanor frowned. "From what species?" Rena swallowed. Human. They exchanged stunned looks. No human had ever been here before. PX-147b had only been discovered 2 weeks ago. Then Marcus turned toward the far wall. His flashlight caught something written in English, freshly carved into the stone. It moves when we sleep. His voice broke. Eleanor, this wasn't in the scans. Someone carved that recently. Eleanor stared at it, the words burning into her mind. Who the hell was here before us? Hours later, they huddled inside the shuttle, the storm outside battering against the hull. The planet's magnetic field made long-range contact impossible. Only the occasional flicker of static broke the suffocating silence. Marcus was checking the fuel lines. Rena sat motionless, staring at her screen, replaying the alien projection again and again, the image of Earth splitting apart. Eleanor sat by the viewport, eyes unfocused. It wasn't showing the future, she whispered. It was remembering something. Rena looked up. What do you mean? The way it said don't wake it, as if it already happened before. As if every civilization woke something inside their homeworld and it ended them. Marcus exhaled, his voice tight. And we're next? Before anyone could answer, an alarm screamed through the cabin. The shuttle's motion sensors flared, something was moving outside. Eleanor stood, peering through the glass. Dust swirled violently under the stormlight, but beneath it faint, skeletal outlines were forming. Humanoid shapes, tall and silent, moving toward them from the ruins. Marcus, are you seeing this? He checked the external cameras. Getting thermal readings. Dozens of them. But the readings are cold. 0 Kelvin cold. Rena's hand trembled. Those things were in the recordings. The survivors, the ones who stayed behind after the fall. Eleanor grabbed her helmet. We can't stay here. Prep for lift. The shuttle shuddered violently. Power flickered. From the columns, a voice, deep, layered, unmistakably human, whispered through the static. You found the warning. Now don't go back. Marcus's face went pale. That was Commander Harlan. Eleanor froze. He's on the orbital ship. How? The voice returned, louder now, distorted with interference. Earth only pretends to rest. It dreams through us. And then, silence. Outside, the humanoid figures stopped moving. The storm calmed. In the distance, the black crystal towers began to hum, low and mournful, like the heartbeat of something vast beneath the surface. Eleanor looked out over the ruins, realizing with a chill that they hadn't found an ancient tomb. They'd walked into something still alive. The hum didn't stop when they lifted off. It pulsed beneath the shuttle's floor like a heartbeat that wasn't theirs, ancient, slow, patient. As Eleanor Voss gripped the flight controls, the thrusters roared to life, throwing dust and shattered crystal into the air. The alien figures outside dissolved into the storm, as though swallowed by the planet itself. Altitude 2000 and climbing, Marcus reported, his knuckles white on the console. Main engines stable. Radiation levels rising but within threshold. Rena Alvarez sat behind them, staring down at the vanishing ruins. They weren't ghosts, she whispered. They reacted to our presence. Eleanor didn't answer. Her eyes stayed fixed on the sensor screen, where the planet's energy readings were spiking again, massive waves pulsing outward from the ruins like ripples in deep water. Whatever they had awakened, it was spreading. Open channel to Harlan, she said. I want the Calypso on standby for emergency retrieval. Static. A broken burst of syllables. Then the line cleared just long enough for Harlan's voice to cut through. Voss? We lost your feed. The planet's generating a field it's interfering with. The transmission fractured into white noise, replaced by a sharp feedback whine that drilled through the comms. Eleanor winced, cutting the line. Marcus muttered, this place doesn't want to let us leave. Eleanor glanced at him. We're leaving anyway. The shuttle broke through the upper atmosphere. For the first time in hours, sunlight, weak and crimson, bathed the cockpit. But there was no relief in it. Outside, the planet's storms formed spiral patterns that didn't follow any meteorological law. The eye of each storm seemed to twist inward, as though the ground itself were drawing breath. Rena's eyes widened at the readouts. Ellie, the magnetic poles are shifting. The whole planet's reconfiguring? Marcus checked the data. Mass displacement under the crust. There's something alive down there. Maybe not in the biological sense, but definitely conscious. Eleanor thought of the message from the ruins. We slept beneath your world. We watched you dream. What if it isn't the planet, she whispered. What if every world they lived on was just skin? A shell? Rena looked horrified. You're saying those civilizations didn't die? They were consumed from within. The shuttle's warning lights flared. Gravitational anomaly detected. Marcus's hands flew over the controls. It's pulling us back, Jesus, the entire crust is moving. Outside, the planet's surface buckled. Towering spires of black crystal erupted from the ground, coiling upward like spines. The landscape was changing shape, forming a colossal pattern visible even from orbit, concentric circles radiating from the ruins. Rena's voice trembled. It's drawing something. A signal? A symbol? Whatever it is, Eleanor said, we can't decode it up close. She slammed the throttle forward. The shuttle's engine screamed, tearing free of the gravitational pull. At last, they broke into open space. But what waited for them there was worse. The Calypso, their orbiting carrier, drifted in silence. No comms, no lights. Just the faint reflection of the dying sun on its hull. Marcus stared in disbelief. She was fully powered 3 hours ago. Eleanor guided the shuttle closer, aligning with the docking bay. Maybe they shut down systems to ride out the interference. But as the airlock doors opened with a reluctant hiss, darkness greeted them, thick, oppressive, absolute. Their helmet lamps cut narrow paths through the black. The ship's corridors were silent except for the echo of their own boots. Power's offline, Marcus said, checking the control panel. Auxiliary systems fried. No life signs on internal sensors. Rena shivered. It's like they all just disappeared. They reached the bridge. Consoles flickered faintly, enough for Eleanor to activate the central terminal. A single message blinked on screen, repeating endlessly. We tried to sleep. Marcus's voice cracked. What the hell does that mean? Before anyone could answer, the main viewport activated, not from their input, but as though something else had turned it on. Static flooded the glass, resulting into a shaky image. It was the Calypso's own external camera feed showing the ship from outside. But in the background, Earth filled the view. Blue, calm, radiant. Rena frowned. That's not possible. We're light years away. The image zoomed closer on its own, until they could see the clouds drifting across the Pacific. Then, beneath the ocean, something moved. A dark pulse, expanding outward like a heartbeat. Marcus whispered, that's not the ocean floor. The pulse grew stronger. Lightning crackled across the surface. Then, through the static, came the same distorted voice they had heard planetside. We dream through you. The feed cut out. Rena was trembling. It's showing us what happens next. Earth's already infected. Eleanor backed away from the console. No. It's showing what's inside Earth. They spent hours scouring the ship, but found no one. Crew quarters untouched. Meals half-eaten. Tools left mid-repair. As if every person had simply stood up and walked into air. In the med bay, Eleanor found Commander Harlan's uniform folded neatly on a table beside a voice recorder. She picked it up, pressed play. Static at first. Then Harlan's voice, shaken, exhausted. Voss, if you're hearing this, we found something beneath the moon relay station. Not metal. Not rock. A pattern. It's the same as the ruins. The same as the others. They called it the sleeper. Said it grows with thought, with awareness. The more we study it, the more it wakes. We tried to shut down communications. Tried to make Earth forget. But the dreaming never stops. Tell them. Earth only pretends to rest. The recording ended with a faint exhale, half sigh, half laugh, and then silence. Marcus sank against the wall. It's everywhere, Ellie. Every dead race woke it by learning too much. By looking too close. Rena's voice quivered. And we just looked closer than anyone. Hours later, Eleanor stood alone on the bridge, staring at the black void outside. The planet PX-147b had gone dark behind them, its glow extinguished. But faint, red symbols now shimmered across its surface, forming a sigil the size of continents. Her hands shook as she opened a secure channel to the Atlas network, Earth's Deep Space Command. Static hissed through the speakers, followed by a faint voice on the other end. Dr. Voss? You're breaking up. Report your position. She hesitated. The image of Earth splitting apart replayed in her mind. The warning. The voice. The sense that every observation, every transmission, was one more whisper in the ear of something vast beneath humanity's homeworld. Command, she said quietly, don't send anyone else here. Don't follow our signal. Repeat, Dr. Voss? We can barely. Erase PX-147b from the logs, she said, her voice steady. And if you ever find another planet like it, let it rest. Then she cut the transmission. Behind her, Rena and Marcus entered, their faces pale. We're not going back, are we? Marcus asked. Eleanor didn't turn. No, she said softly. Not until we know Earth's still asleep. Outside, the stars dimmed just for a moment, as though the universe had blinked. There are silences in deep space that feel like waiting. Eleanor Voss had come to recognize them, the pauses between radar sweeps, the empty hum before the stars flickered again. She stood on the Calypso's bridge, staring into the unblinking void, feeling that silence press against her lungs like a held breath. Main reactors running dry, Marcus said from the control pit. We've got maybe 30 hours before life support starts cutting out. Rena Alvarez sat across from him, pale, hands clasped tight. She hadn't spoken since they'd listened to Harlan's recording. Not really. She only stared at the navigation hollow, where Earth's soft blue glow shimmered in orbit around the distant sun, a beacon both beautiful and dreadful. Eleanor broke the quiet. Rena, that signal we saw from the planet, the glyph pattern. Did you ever decode it? Rena's voice was brittle. Partially. It wasn't language. It was a synchronization algorithm. The same sequence appears in our own global network transmissions. Every communication relay on Earth is pinging the same frequency. We've been broadcasting it for years without realizing. Marcus looked up sharply. You mean we've been feeding it? She nodded. It spreads through knowledge. Awareness. Every dead race learned it, studied it, and woke it. Eleanor whispered, and humanity's already in the final phase. They descended into the data core an hour later, hoping to isolate the transmission embedded in the Calypso's systems. The room was dimly lit, alive with faint blue shimmer from data coils lining the walls. Marcus opened the main interface. If this thing's in the network, maybe we can trace it, find a way to jam it before it reaches Earth. He tapped the console. The display flickered, and an ocean of data scrolled across the screen. These signals, relays, Earth-based communications, human voices overlapping like whispers through static. And beneath it all, a rhythmic pulse, 3 beats, then 1. Over and over. Like the heart of something massive and unseen. Rena's voice quivered. It's alive in the signal. Eleanor leaned closer. Can we cut it off? Marcus hesitated. Maybe. But whatever this thing is, it's not just in our systems, it's in us. It's been writing every transmission, every thought shared through the network. Shutting it down means cutting Earth off completely. Do it, Eleanor said. Rena grabbed her wrist. If we silence the network, we'll strand billions. No communications, no coordination, no satellites. Civilization will collapse overnight. Eleanor looked at her. Rena, that's the point. Maybe collapse is the only way we survive. The hum deepened. The ship's lights flickered. Marcus cursed under his breath. The data core's reacting like it heard us. The holographic display shimmered. The blue static twisted into a shape not quite human, not quite alien. A figure made of shifting geometry and light stood before them, featureless, but watching. Then it spoke, not with sound, but directly into their minds. We gave them the dream so they would forget the dark. You were meant to rest. Rena fell to her knees, clutching her head. It's in my mind. Eleanor gritted her teeth. Who are you? We are what remains when thought sleeps. The dreamers named us Earth. You were never its children. You are its thoughts. The words resonated like gravity. Marcus staggered back. It's saying we're extensions. Consciousness blooming inside a sleeping planet. The figure's light dimmed and flared again. Every race that dreamed awoke us. Every world became its own voice. You dig. You speak. You wake. The ship shook violently. Sirens wailed. The stars outside blurred as though the universe itself had begun to breathe. Rena screamed, "It's pulling us in." Marcus slammed the emergency thrusters. We're caught in some kind of gravitational fold. Eleanor steadied herself against the console. Get us free, now. The Calypso pitched violently as space rippled. The stars elongated into streaks of light. For an instant, Eleanor saw something vast moving beyond perception, continents drifting across the void, worlds cracking open like eggshells, each revealing the same pulsing core, a sleeping being the size of a planet. Then, silence. They woke to stillness. The bridge was intact, though systems flickered erratically. Outside, the stars were wrong, too bright, too close. Marcus checked the NAV computer. Coordinates don't match anything in known space. It's like, we're in a mirrored version of the system. Rena looked out the viewport, her voice hollow. That's Earth. They all turned. Hanging before them was a perfect copy of Earth: clouds, oceans, continents, but frozen in absolute stillness. No weather patterns. No orbital motion. Just suspended, unmoving, like a reflection on dark glass. Eleanor's throat tightened. It's not real. Rena shook her head. It's the dream. The one the entity spoke of. We're inside the mind of the sleeper. A low vibration filled the air. The false Earth began to crack, light seeping through the fissures. Through the spreading fractures, Eleanor glimpsed countless other worlds, millions of them each bearing the same scars, each echoing the same message across the stars. Earth only pretends to rest. The words resonated in her chest like thunder. Rena clutched the console. Ellie, if we transmit anything from here, even one data burst, it'll wake for real. The whole planet. Maybe the whole network of worlds. Eleanor's eyes burned. Then we destroy the Calypso. Marcus spun toward her. Are you insane? It's the only way. The ship's memory holds the recordings, the coordinates, the link. If this thing uses us as its voice, Earth's finished. Rena's voice was shaking. There has to be another way. There isn't. Eleanor shouted. Her voice broke. Every dead race tried to contain it. None succeeded. We're not stopping it, we're slowing it down. Marcus stared at her, then nodded grimly. All right. Overload the reactor. Manual detonation. Give us 5 minutes. Eleanor met his eyes, a silent acknowledgement between survivors who knew they wouldn't be remembered. Rena stood trembling beside them. What if it's not evil, Ellie? What if it's just lonely? Eleanor placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we let it dream a little longer. They worked quickly. Marcus rerouted the fusion drives, arming the core for overload. Eleanor synchronized the countdown to a remote transmitter, ensuring no signal would escape when the ship went critical. Rena remained by the viewport, watching the false Earth split wider, revealing blinding white beneath. At T-minus 60 seconds, the hum returned deeper, more desperate, like the heartbeat of a dying god. The geometric figure reappeared before them, its form unstable. "You cannot silence thought." Eleanor's voice was steady. "No. But we can make it forget." The figure reached out, its light touching her face. For a brief moment, she felt warmth, not malice, but sorrow. A longing too vast to understand. Then it was gone. When the Calypso detonated, it did so without sound, a bloom of white that folded in on itself.